All right, welcome everybody to the March 22nd Lake Bluff Village Board of Trustees meeting. And due to, again, the ongoing COVID pandemic, this is primarily a virtual meeting. One representative from the village will be present at the Village Hall, and the virtual meeting will be simulcast for members of the public who do not wish to view this virtual meeting from another location. Pursuant to executive orders issued by the governor, the number of people who may gather at the Village Hall for the meeting is limited to the mandated social distancing guidelines and limitations on gathering. So accordingly, it's on a first come, first serve basis, though we recommend highly that you view this online, or you may also dial in this meeting. Okay. With all of that said, can we have a roll call, please?
I'm sorry. Trustee Ankerman?
Here.
Trustee Charlot?
Here.
Trustee Dewart?
Here.
Trustee Marquis?
Here.
Trustee Meyer?
Here.
And Trustee Toll?
Here.
All right. Would we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have the consideration of the minutes of the meeting of the March 8th, 2021 Village Board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve? So moved by Ms. Marquis, and do I have a second? A second by Ms. Ankerman, thank you. Any additions, corrections? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Charlot?
Aye.
Trustee Dewart?
Aye.
Trustee Marquis?
Aye.
Trustee Meyer?
Aye.
Trustee Toll?
Aye.
And Trustee Ankerman?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we set aside 15 minutes for anyone who may like to speak in the audience or at home for anything that is not on tonight's agenda. Do we have anyone to do so? Has anyone flagged us, Joe? Or no?
No, ma'am.
All right, we'll just move on then. Village Finance Report. Warrant report for March 9th through March 22nd, 2021. This is approval for disbursements. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Meyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Charlot. All right, we have expenditure of village funds for payment of invoices in the amount $123,039.35 for March 1 through March 22nd, 2021. All right, as you all know, the invoice register reports show checks with the status of open and paid. All checks with the status of open are computer-generated checks for the board's final approval. Checks with the status of paid are manual checks processed. All right, are there any questions for the finance director or the administration regarding the warrant report? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Dewart?
Aye.
Trustee Marquis?
Aye.
Trustee Meyer?
Aye.
Trustee Toll?
Aye.
Trustee Ankerman?
Aye.
And Trustee Charlot?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We have now the February 2021 financial report. Do I have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
So moved, thank you, by Mr. Toll. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second, thank you, by Ms. Marquis. Could we ask the finance director to give the highlights of the financial report?
Sure. Good evening. The monthly sales tax revenue on a cash basis for FY21 through February is $2,740,394, which is $142,000 and $853, or 5% less than the FY20 cash receipts. Building permit revenue for fiscal year 21 to date is $289,115, which is $4,415,000 more than the same reporting period for last fiscal year. General fund total revenues of $9,196,781 are $35,833, or 0.4% less than the FY20 May through February revenues. In fiscal year 21, current expenditures are consistent with or less than budgeted. The May through February expenditures of $7,853,034 are $536,278 less than the expenditures for the same period in FY20.
Thank you. Any questions?
I had a quick question.
Sure.
So the 5% decrease in the sales tax, do we think that we'll be able to recuperate that in the next 2 months? The 2 months that aren't showing yet on the for fiscal 2021. Some of those months, like it looks like January and February, our tax receipts were higher than in 19 and 20, and I'm just wondering if we're still waiting, if there's still sales receipts that are lagging. I know there always are some, but do we have any anticipation if we might be able to make up that 5%? I know it's not an easy question.
No, I understand. I would think that we'd make up some of it, and that's not a very specific answer, but I don't think that we'll make up all of it because there was a lag in reporting, first of all, and they were also allowed delays in sales tax receipt of monies to the state overall. So some of that might end up being recaptured in the next fiscal year as the time moves on, as far as the lag and the delay of receipts are concerned. So from a cash perspective, I would say there would still be a percentage of difference.
Bettina, I have a follow-up question to Joy. I know obviously there's a lag to the reporting, but is there any way to establish a trend? I mean, is that going to occur next month in the worst case, or is it just a blip and we move on? Is there any way to get that KPI going on?
So historically, the state always provides a 2 to 3 month lag in the sales tax reporting, but COVID caused additional lags in the fact that they allowed businesses to report later than normal. So in addition to the lag of receiving the monies, people were providing the monies late. That part of it should end. So we should return back to a normal pattern of receipts.
Tina, this is Bill. A question, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, but this 5% delta, do you have any knowledge or opinion as to whether it's an artifact of reporting or whether it is in fact a indication of an actual lack or trend of loss of revenue?
I think it's an indicator of reporting. I mean, our primary reporting sector is the automotive, and that sector of receipts really hasn't seen a big decline if you look to the charting in the report itself for the commercial sectors. So I think it's just a reporting problem. I think it's a lag. I don't necessarily think that we are behind or seeing a decline in overall sales.
All right, and then if it is an artifact of reporting, then your expectation could be that we'll make up for it by the end of the year.
Could be. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much.
Sure.
Just to add to the interest of finances, I think most of you are aware that in the governor's projected budget for this year, he is calling for a 10% decrease in the local distributive fund, which could be substantial for us and, of course, for other municipalities. In the budget, the governor's office is saying that they're proposing a corporate tax, which then would help municipalities make up for that loss. However, there is no guarantee that a corporate tax will pass at all, and it seems to be more likely that the 10% could happen, even though we are met with several legislators today, and they are in support of giving us our full allotment, but it doesn't necessarily mean this is going to happen. So we could have further reductions as we move through the year.
Follow-up question to President O'Hara's question. If that happens, what is the impact, Bettina or Drew, on our revenue for the year?
We have included historically reduced projections in income tax, so it's pretty much already part of how we account for our revenues. That's why this year's numbers are actually higher than expected.
We already have low expectations.
Well, with the state of Illinois, low expectations is
Always
probably
have
a
a-
good idea.
It is always good to have a low expectation with the state, because there's a lot of things. The other thing that I know that the administration is looking at and planning for is the new safety bill that has just been passed, which embedded in that will be some significant costs for municipalities. Number one, of course, are mandated body cams. And then, of course, not only just the cost for the body cams, the cost of the equipment, the training, etc., but the storage, the access, and actually perhaps hiring people to have to manage this, because we have to keep these basically forever. So there's a lot of that. And of course, we're also, again, dealing with, actually spoke today to the originator of this bill, Senator Sims. He understands our thing. They are hoping for a trailer bill that might help us alleviate some of these costs and perhaps reduce some of the concerning requirements on this. However, they don't expect that to come until almost the last day, which is May 31st. And it's a very, very odd year with the legislature this year with all of these bills, because they are in and out of session and they're not meeting full time. So it is a rather chaotic time in Springfield in terms of bills. And what we may see is what we saw sometime last year is a rush at the end for bills to be initiated and passed, which tends to take things out of our purview a bit. So we need to pay real strict attention to this as we move on to the new year. Okay, so we've got that. Do we have a roll call, please, for receipt of the financial report?
Trustee Marquis.
Aye.
Trustee Meyer.
Aye.
Trustee Toll.
Aye.
Trustee Ankerman.
Aye.
Trustee Charlotte.
Aye.
And Trustee Dewar.
Aye.
Okay, we now go to the village administrator's report.
Thank you.
Right,
In the packet was a memorandum that described, in general, that the Historic Preservation Commission has been working on, as you know, since they visited you in the fall of 2020, had been having a lot of public engagement activities to work through their recommendations to you all with respect to modifying the village's historic preservation regulations, incentives in that regard, as well as developing a list of primary properties that they would be seeking potentially for landmarks or status in the village. And that resolution that was put forth by the Historic Preservation really describes in detail where their thoughts are at with that. But it is a very, I would call it a meaty recommendation, and certainly warrants further conversations than what I'm providing today, and in a presentation best done by the chair of the HPC, Mr. Steve Krause. And I know he's indicated a desire to do that and have a joint meeting of the HPC and the village board. And so with this significant recommendation, I'm suggesting that the village board set up a time, and we can certainly work through the meeting schedule and find a time agreeable for everyone to have the HPC to meet jointly with the village board to review this recommendation in detail.
Okay, I spoke.
I'd be in favor of that.
Okay, I spoke with Chair Krause today, and again, as Drew mentioned, he'd like a meeting not only of himself but his board or his commission with us. And I'm suggesting, if agreeable with everybody, that we do have a committee of the whole 2 weeks from now, and I don't know what that date is in April. Is it April 5th? I think, but our
I
next
believe it would
meeting.
be the 12th.
Whatever our next meeting is, would be to have a committee of the whole with both entities there for a robust discussion. Any problems with that? Is everybody in agreement?
I don't have the meeting schedule in front of me. I'd have to double check that about availability of what else is going on. But if that's the first best opportunity, we'll see if we can make that work.
I know that.
I mean, a regular,
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry, Madam President, go ahead. I was going to say our first regular meeting is April 12th. Is that what you're?
Yeah, that's right. I know, Ms. Marquis, you want to speak. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering what the overall timeline of this ordinance is for. There was quite a bit of public comment on this, and I guess I have a little bit of a concern that we're managing this through COVID, and that we can't really have people come into the village hall and speak. It seems like something that's important to a lot of people in the village. So I guess I just would ask that maybe I'm not sure what the actual timeline is. And I have no idea when Village Hall might be open again. But this seems like a significant ordinance that we're looking at. And it has lots of pros, and I would just like to make sure that we come up with something that residents are really comfortable with.
I don't disagree at all.
I might be feeling trustee that feels that way. I'm not sure how other people feel.
You do.
I want to make sure we,
Yeah.
you know,
And I understand.
cross our T's and cross our I's.
Yeah, you do know that they have had a series of how many meetings, Drew, in the last few weeks, open to the public as they went through parts of all this? You want to explain that?
The exact number, it's not escaping me, 5 to 6.
Yeah, I thought it was 6. So that they have had meetings as they've listened to people and then kind of restructured things about this. I think to have, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I know they've had the meetings, and I watched the March 10th meeting today, and I know there's been a lot of public comment. I guess I was just wondering if you think it's important to have those meetings more in person. Like, if we don't think that's important, then we don't even have to deal with it. But I just was wondering what the timeline, if there actually would be the ability for us to have some kind of, at some point, meeting where people can actually attend.
Excuse me.
If the board doesn't think that's important, then I'm fine doing everything by Zoom and virtually.
I think by having a meeting at the 12th meeting, just to have that, doesn't preclude slowing anything else down, moving ahead quickly. It does mean that we initiate a meeting. We may decide we want to hold another meeting with it. This is nothing except, I think it is a way for the HPC to meet directly with the village board feedback and everything else, and then see where we want to go from there. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Are you comfortable with that? Okay.
I am.
It's not a specific timeline to da-da-da-da-da-da. This is an initial meeting for discussion and just kind of see where everybody feels with things, at least so far.
Is an hour sufficient?
I'm sorry, would you?
Probably not.
Yeah. Well, what did you say, Barbara? I missed that.
My question is an hour sufficient? So I don't want to keep starting the conversation and then we don't get far enough to get what we need out of it, and then we have to kind of restart.
And that's a good point. I don't know if an hour is enough either. And again,
How about this? How about I meet with Chair Kraus and talk to him about what he thinks he needs in terms of presentation,
Okay.
and based off of
That's
experience, we
fine.
can look and see if we need to do it on a Saturday or another time.
Okay, but everyone is at least agreeable to have an initial meeting with the full HPC and a discussion. Where it goes from there, we're not sure. Okay? All right, what's your feeling?
Yeah, there may be there may be some value to doing what you said, and that is to think about a Saturday or an off Monday. We've done that before with finance committee and things like that, where we, even tonight, Barbara's very carefully watching the clock on the wall, trying to get everything squeezed in, and that probably isn't going to be productive on a topic like this. I'd certainly support a Saturday And I think that I think for the public to feel as though we're not rushing it and constraining it, trying to slam a jamma into something into 60 or 90 minutes, we could start it at 9 or 9:30 or something like that on a Saturday morning, and if we're done at 10 or we're done at 11.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. No one's trying to, there is no specific timeline, not trying to rush it through, but we do probably need to have an initial conversation with that. And a Saturday or a Monday or whatever that gives a length of time, I agree, an hour probably for something.
Make it a true working session.
Yeah, that sounds like, that's actually a very good idea. Okay, so Drew, you'll talk to Steve Krause and you guys and come up with a date that will work for all of us? Okay.
Well, I'll have to poll everybody's availability, but we can figure it out under those parameters for sure.
Okay, good enough. All right. Anybody else have anything on that? Do you have anything else on your plate, sir?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay. All right, village president's report. And again, as we still struggle through COVID, at least we're not Miami Beach. So, hopefully that we're going to be able to start to move past this. But as for the emergency powers, which of course we have done since March 18th, 2020 until the next board meeting, and we have done that for over a year. So could I have a motion for an extension of the village president's declaration of civil emergency?
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Ms. Ankerman. Thank you. And a second?
So moved. Second.
So moved. Thank you, Mr. Charlotte. Roll call.
Trustee Meyer?
Aye.
Trustee Toll? Aye. Trustee Ankerman?
Aye.
Trustee Charlotte?
Aye.
Trustee Dewart?
Aye.
And Trustee Markey?
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries.
We're now moving on to, I am sorry, I skipped the village attorney's report. I don't want to, Mr. Friedman, for your pearly words.
I do have a report tonight, actually. On the subject of COVID, the governor usually issues his emergency declaration extensions toward the end of the month. And so we expect him to do that again, perhaps this week or beginning of next week, very beginning of next week. But one of the things that he may do, we expect him to issue a disaster declaration. The issuance of the disaster declaration allows, under the Open Meetings Act, for us to continue to meet remotely with less than a majority of a quorum being physically present. That gets us out of that requirement of having you all in one, or a quorum of you in one place. What we're not sure of is whether the governor will continue a separate finding where he has said that it is not feasible for there to be more than 10 people at a meeting. So it's possible that he could decide not to reissue that finding, and that would mean that we would then have to manage what happens at Village Hall, because the finding of not having more than 10 people being unfeasible would be gone, and therefore potentially the public would have the right back again to come to Village Hall, subject to social distancing requirements. But we're just waiting to see. There has been some talk that he may not redo that one finding that limits the amount of people at a public meeting. So that's just a heads up.
Okay. Right. It's very fluid. I've attended several meetings in the last few weeks with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and some of the other things, and it's constantly changing. It's really fluid right now. But as more and more people are getting vaccinated, things are changing. So that is hopeful. All right. We have the acceptance of the correspondence, which was delivered in informational reports on March 5th and March 12th. Do I have a motion to accept the correspondence?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Markey. And a second?
Second?
Second, Mr. Toll. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Toll?
Aye.
Trustee Ankerman?
Aye.
Trustee Charlo?
Aye.
Trustee Dewart?
Aye.
Trustee Markey?
Aye.
And Trustee Meyer?
Aye.
All right, item number 11, which is a public hearing to consider awarding a franchise for the collection of waste from non-residential locations and any proposed franchise fees. Do I have, this is actually just a public hearing, so we don't have to have a motion or anything else. As directed by the village board in November and consistent with state law, staff is concluding a competitive request for proposal process to award the village's exclusive residential and commercial solid waste hauling franchises to a private firm. State statute requires that in order to award the village's first commercial franchise, after issuing a request for proposal, the municipality may not award a franchise without first allowing at least 30 days for proposals to be submitted to the municipality, holding at least one public hearing after the receipt of proposals on whether to award a franchise to a proposed franchisee, for providing at least 30 days public notice of the hearing. At the public hearing, the municipality must disclose and discuss the proposed franchise fee or calculation formula of such franchise fee that it will receive under the proposed franchise. Accordingly, staff provided 30 days advance notice of a public hearing scheduled for Monday, March 22nd at 7 p.m. to satisfy requirements listed above. The village's evaluation subcommittee and staff are still engaged in the evaluation and negotiation process, and accordingly are not yet ready to recommend award of the commercial franchise to a specific proposal. Accordingly, staff recommends village open the public hearing, accept any comments, and continue the hearing to the village's board next meeting on Monday, April 12th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Drew, do you want to add anything to that?
Know that we're just making progress, and I'm hopeful that the 2 weeks from tonight, or actually when the next village board meets again on April 12th, that we will have a contract or two to recommend.
Okay, and at this point, the board does not have to take any further action, except that we will hold.
Other than you need to declare the public hearing open and then continue it.
All right. Do I need a motion to do so? Or can I just declare the hearing? I can just, all right, the hearing is now open. And
you can call for comment.
Anyone want to comment? This is your chance to discuss solid waste. Okay, not hearing any. I'm assuming that we have an agreement that we will now continue the hearing until the next regular board meeting, which will be on April 12th. Okay? All right, so there's that. We now have item number 12, which is a resolution authorizing the execution of a construction contract with Schroeder & Schroeder Incorporated of Skokie, Illinois, and waiver of competitive bids for the Village of Lake Bluff's FY 2022 Portland Cement Concrete Sidewalk Replacement Project. All righty, this will be a roll call vote as we have an adoption of the resolution. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Dewart. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Ankerman. All right. In 2019, the Village of Lake Bluff, through the Municipal Partnering Initiative, teamed up with the cities of Highland Park and Lake Forest and the villages of Glencoe, Lincolnwood, and Winnetka to jointly bid the concrete street, curbs, and sidewalk work for all 5 municipalities. The village subsequently awarded the project to the lowest bidder, Schroeder & Schroeder of Skokie, Illinois. 2020, the village and Schroeder & Schroeder agreed to extend the contract with no increase in price from the 2019 bid. For 2021, Schroeder & Schroeder has offered to extend the contract with a 1.4 increase in unit prices. For information, no new MPI bid was solicited this year for PCC sidewalk work. Village staff believes it is in the best interest of the village to agree to the 1.4 increase, waive the competitive bidding process, and award a contract in the amount of $35,000 to Schroeder & Schroeder based on the following. The last time the village bid this project independently, the unit's costs were approximately 30% higher than the MPI bid of that same year and 28% higher than the currently proposed unit costs. The comparable concrete items in the recently opened bid for street resurfacing were 20 to 25% higher than the proposed sidewalk program unit costs. A community that was in the 2019 MPI bid took new bids for their concrete work earlier this year and saw an increase of 7% in their prices for a greater quantity of work. The village's proposed FY 2022 budget includes $35,000 for the sidewalk replacement project. Typically, the villages adjust the quantity of sidewalks to be replaced to be equal to or slightly less than the budgeted amount. Schroeder & Schroeder has successfully completed numerous concrete sidewalk replacement projects for the village in the past. Village engineer is recommending the waiver of competitive bidding and that an award be made to Schroeder & Schroeder Incorporated in the amount of $35,000. Comments or questions from the trustees? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Ankerman?
Aye.
Trustee Charlo?
Aye.
Trustee Dewitt?
Aye.
Trustee Marquis?
Aye.
Trustee Meyer?
Aye.
Trustee Toll?
Aye.
Item number 13, which is a resolution authorizing the execution of a construction contract with Peter Baker & Son Company for the Village of Lake Bluff's 2022 Street Improvement Program. This is to approve the adoption of the resolution. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Marquis. And do I have a second? A second by
Second.
Mr. Charlo. Village of Lake Bluff partnered with the City of Lake Forest and Libertyville Township to jointly bid the 2020 Roadway Improvement Program. The village's scope of work includes street resurfacing, street patching, resurfacing of the Lake Bluff Library's parking lot, and resurfacing of the village's public safety building parking lot at the building's public entrance. In an effort to achieve economies of scale, a joint procurement process was undertaken, yielded 5 bids. Lowest bid was submitted by Peter Baker & Son of Lake Bluff, with the amount attributable to Lake Bluff's portion of the work at the price of $323,554.50. Comparison to the unit prices the village received for the FY 2019 street resurfacing program shows that the prices of the current bids are approximately 9% lower than the prior year. The village's proposed 2020 budget includes a total of $600,000 for the street improvement program, which is also to fund a project in the fall of 2021 to resurface and make certain streetscape improvements along Block 2 of the village's downtown. The contract with Peter Baker and related inspection work will leave approximately $250,000 for that future downtown project. The work to resurface the library's parking lot will be paid by the library. Since Peter Baker & Son has performed street improvement projects in the village for many years and has proven to be capable of completing the work, village engineer is recommending the village board award the contract to Peter Baker & Son for the amount of $323,554.50. Comments, questions by the trustees? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Charlo?
Aye.
Trustee Dewitt?
Aye.
Trustee Marquis?
Aye.
Trustee Meyer?
Aye.
Trustee Toll?
Aye.
Trustee Ankerman?
Aye.
All righty, item 14, which is an ordinance granting a variation from the village's front yard setback restrictions, which is relationship to 673 Maple Avenue. This is first reading approval, and could I have a motion for first reading?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Meyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Toll. On July 23rd, 2018, the Village of Lake Bluff adopted Ordinance 2018-14, excuse me, which provided a 20-foot, 6-inch, 68% variation from the front yard setback applicable to 673 Maple Avenue, an irregular lot and a designated historic landmark in the village. The variation would allow for the reconstruction and expansion of an addition to the south elevation of the single-family residence located upon the subject property. At that time, the petitioner asserted that a 20-foot, 6-inch variation from the village's front yard setback regulations was necessary to allow the reconstruction and expansion of a previous addition that is not compatible with the historic structure. Their application also noted the lot's irregular shape, the ravine that runs through the lot, and the distance of the principal structure from the other structures as causing unique hardship. After granting the variation in 2018, the applicant did not construct the approved improvements within the time limit provided by the zoning code, section 10-2-4 F1, and now seeks the same relief to allow for the construction of the improvements. After conducting a public hearing at its March 17th regular meeting, the PCZBA unanimously recommends the village board grant the requested relief. Comments, questions, village board?
Well, the only comment that I have is, do we need to, or would it be sensible to rather, waive the second reading, given that this is just an extension of something previously approved? We've got unanimity from the other board or the committee below. Do we really need to do a second reading on this?
This is a resolution, so it just requires one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was an ordinance that required a second reading. Looking at the paper, I'm a little confused.
It says here, okay, and I'm a little confused also, because it's what I'm reading, it says it's an ordinance granting a variation from the village's front yard setback restrictions. So
I apologize, that's my mistake.
Okay, so, all right, if this is an ordinance, then therefore we can waive, if the board so desires, we could waive second reading. Is that correct?
I correct that.
Mr. Charlot?
I'm okay.
Is everyone okay with waiving second reading? Okay, so to do this,
Yep.
my process is to.
You've got a first and a second to approve it on first reading?
Yes, okay, so we can approve this on first reading for first and second.
Yeah.
All right, so with that amended, roll call, please.
Trustee Dewar.
Aye.
Trustee Marquis.
Aye.
Trustee Meyer.
Aye.
Trustee Toll.
Aye.
Trustee Ankerman.
Aye.
And Trustee Charlot.
Aye.
All
Do we
right,
need another motion now?
You do.
Motion to second reading.
another motion, correct?
Yeah.
All righty,
So
motion.
moved to waive second reading.
Thank you, and do I have a second to waive second reading?
Second.
Second to waive second, thank you. All righty, roll call, please.
Trustee Marquis.
Aye.
Trustee Meyer.
Aye.
Trustee Toll.
Aye.
Trustee Ankerman.
Aye.
Trustee Charlot.
Aye.
And Trustee Dewar.
Aye.
Okay, do we have a trustees? Anybody in the trustees have anything to report this evening? All righty, we do not have executive session tonight, so I would be happy if anybody wants to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Meyer and second by, was that Mr. Dewar? Did you hand up?
It is.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Marquis.
Aye.
Trustee Meyer.
Aye.
Trustee Toll.
Aye.
Trustee Ankerman.
Aye.
Trustee Charlot.
Aye.
And Trustee Dewar.
Aye.
Okay, this concludes tonight's meetings. Everyone have a great rest of the week. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.